Good evening, friends, and welcome back to the show of Mirror Wisdom Reflected. As you know that in this show, in Mirror, I act as a mirror to get the wisdom reflected from a host of very smart, intelligent people who have a lot to contribute to the society and enrich our knowledge in various dimensions. I'm reminded of Richard Bach today. There is no such thing as a problem without a gift for us in its hands. We seek problems because we need those gifts. Because the mark of our ignorance is the depth of our belief in peace and injustice. And what the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls it a butterfly. It's a very interesting topic, very diverse in life. History repeats itself. Corona just proved it to us. In the 1920s, we had plague. And back here, surprisingly, 2020, nobody would have imagined out of the blue. We may blame whatever, whichever country, whatever the reason, but there you had a pandemic coming up, sure enough. So history is a great, great subject to learn because when it repeats itself the second time, you have a lot better to face it. Like the second wave was better than the first wave, and the third was way better than the second wave. And so also the history of finance in the whole world and the barter system. Phenomenal changes happened in 1829, 1929, the Great Depression and things after that. Bank of England came up later. From barter system, we came to currencies. And it is very, very, very interesting to see that where are we headed now? We are at a beautiful stage in life wherein the Web 3.0 is coming up. Facebook has already renamed themselves as Meta. So Metaverse, DeFi, blockchain, smart chain are much bigger invention and innovation than cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is just the tip of the iceberg. It's a lot more thing that we have to talk about and what we are going to be dealing with. It's an amazing, amazing situation that we are going to be faced with in the next few years. The tsunami is there. We need to brace it, embrace it. Whether we like it or we don't like it, there we are. That's what is going to happen. We are going through this lovely phase of transformation where we deny, we are arrogant with it, but before we start agreeing with it. Best of the exchanges in the United States, the ETF funds have started on crypto. You have the best of the companies from Tesla to Walmart to Starbucks who have started accepting tender, legal tender in the form of a cryptocurrency. And if you know the history of United States, it's a country of immigrants and innovation. It's a country which is rapidly used to accepting change before change starts itself. And which is why US is where it is today. It is way ahead in time. And it will prove to the world that where they are going. Let me share a small kind of a presentation that I'm looking at. What exactly is happening in this world today? Crypto, blockchain, digital currency. Indian investments in crypto hits 10 billion this week. Now imagine this is what we are looking at, even without knowing. All the older players in the market are not ready to understand crypto, but Wells Fargo cryptocurrency has entered a hyper adoption phase. Wells Fargo is a very important bank in the United States, and it says it's in a hyper adoption phase. We are still struggling whether it is right or wrong. South Korea jails masterminds for crypto fraud. So there are negative things. Indian Parliament members clarifies legal status of cryptocurrency. We are going to have some kind of an understanding and a bill being passed in the winter session, but somehow it has got postponed. So today, it is not legal. It is not illegal. It is ill-defined, but you can still pay taxes. It will be considered as an asset. Now imagine this NFT. We are going to talk about all these things. The CryptoPunk NFT was sold for 8,000 Etherum, $23 million. You can see that picture down below. Sold for $23 million. Pro photographer with just $10 in his pocket makes $109,000 from selling NFT. So we'll talk of NFT also. Bahrain's central bank completes its cross-border transfer using the JP Morgan blockchain. So Bahrain and the Middle East is also accepting it. It understands they have to change fast. Now, the biggest word which you are going to keep hearing in the new ecosystem is going to be decentralized autonomous organization. The young generation wants to be out of all shackles in the society. It doesn't want to be ruled by anyone. The bank today, already COVID precipitated that you are not going to go to the bank. It's a digital way in which you're going to be doing currency from your cell phone and your laptop. But the decentralized autonomous organization will make a huge change. All the middleman money, somebody is depositing, somebody is borrowing, and yet the middleman, the bank, is making such huge money. Why should they do so? Why can't have a better orderly? And of course, somebody can milk the cow, somebody can loot the bank. And yet you will be left with nothing. You have no great control. You have only a limited amount of money which is insured for you. So crypto would come to your help there. The role of blockchain technology in restructuring the gaming industry. I was shocked to hear a couple of days ago when the gaming industry is going to be so huge that people will start selling their stuff as a marketing gimmick from the gaming industry. Now that's very interesting. Bank of Jamaica will roll out digital Jamaican dollars in 2022, says the Prime Minister. Imagine West Indies and Jamaica is ready for that. Russian regulators find common ground. Bitcoin can't be used as for payments. Of course, as I would put it, China, communist, or a socialist republic like Russia would never allow decentralized. They want to control every breath the citizen takes. So it's not going to be easy for anybody to get in there. Well, they have their own means and ways of getting around with it. Now, this is some very interesting scenario. El Salvador chief, 10 million he lost among the crypto slump. He put a lot of money of the country, and IMF has to tell him that enough is enough. Don't waste the country's money putting into crypto. And he lost when Bitcoin went from 66 to 31. He lost more than $10 million in a poor country like that. Well, what does India say? Banning cryptocurrency, the most advisable choice open to India, says RBI Deputy Governor. This is recent, February 14th. Cryptocurrency is worse than Ponzi schemes, said the Deputy Governor. Are we retrogressive? Are we proactive? We definitely are not proactive. We still don't know where we stand. But very interesting. Now look at that against that. Switzerland's largest bank, UBS, expects US crypto legislation to take time. And as I would wind up saying, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, and then they fight. Then you win. Where are we? What is happening? What's going to be happening further is a very interesting scenario that we are going to be facing. We have a very, very reputed guest, a person of great repute who's here to tell us and explain to us what's going on. Mr. Joseph Massey has a dear friend, and he has been a professional in the financial sector for over 30 years and has been instrumental in being the part of the establishment of various financial markets. He's been instrumental in formulating policies, procedures, and best practices at the exchanges in India and abroad. Mr. Massey has been the MD and CEO of MCX, the original MCX, and the MCX Singapore, and director initial team of the Indian Energy Exchange, DGCX Dubai, and the SMX Singapore. He's also worked with LIC, RBI, and SHCIL. He has traveled widely and has been in touch with the global regulatory agencies. It will be a pleasure and it's an honor to have him with us today. Thank you, sir, Mr. Massey, for sparing your valuable time and being with us to give us a lot more information on crypto. Welcome to the show, sir.
Wow. Thank you very much, Dr. Himanshu Mehta ji, for calling me here. And I think your presentation is so good. I feel like listening to your presentation rather than making mine. But I'll go ahead. Thank you all the guests who have assembled both on Zoom and on YouTube. Thank you for sparing time. I see people from diverse background who've come here. I represent Cryptowire as a company, and I want to share with you what we do and what this industry is all about. And hopefully we will have time when we could actually get into interacting with each other. So I have a small presentation which I will share initially. You all can see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We have a very esteemed board with us, headed by retired chairman, retired judge, former judge of Supreme Court. Then we have people from RBI and from a lot of academic institutions, the former CBDT chairman, and very credible people on the board. And the whole idea is, I think you well began by saying what's happening in the rest of the world versus the debate that is happening in India. And I think we need to change the debate by sharing good things that are happening outside and good things that can happen from this industry. This is what our enterprise is doing. We have 3 verticals. So Cryptowire essentially is an app. And in this company, we have tried to emerge as a convergence platform, because there are so many sources of news everywhere. And the idea is, how do you reduce noise and how do you get people on one place not only to view, but also to share information. So we have Cryptowire, which gives information about markets, which means prices, access to market, and all the news that is coming in the world. We curate those news and only important news get shown here. So this is the app which is most used by people who are actually active traders in the market. So this is supposed to be enabling tool. And this tool can be used. So when you're accessing a market for buying and selling, this app tells you which is a good exchange to buy, good exchange to sell, what are the arbitrage opportunities existing. 400 coins get monitored here, and many things that a typical trader or person who's buying and selling would like to do. Crypto TV is the point of debate. Like, you are having this debate because people want to learn from this market and we want to share new developments. So this Crypto TV, because the industry is little known, largely outside and in early stage in India, we want to use this as a platform to share all the good things that have happened, so that we don't have to go through that long learning curve, and we can learn from the bad experiences of others, good experiences of others. The third thing is Crypto University. As this industry grows, everyone talks about cryptocurrency as the benchmark or as a representative of this market, but the underlying fabric is that of blockchain. And many professionals would be required in order to develop this industry, to ensure blockchain gets adopted by their companies. And so we thought that we will create a university which can educate people, beginners, intermediates, and professionals. So this is a full-fledged university which will impart short-term and long-term courses to people. So this is what I said, that we are essentially a enabling tool, a decision support system where the entire industry is converging. Now, cryptocurrency, as I said, there are 2 sides of a coin. So if you look at cryptocurrency as one side of the coin, blockchain is the other side. And essentially, in this industry, when you create a blockchain, for blockchain to be used and use cases to be developed on a blockchain, a couple of things are required. So one important thing is, for a blockchain to become popular, people have to create nodes in order to enable people to do their transactions, do various activities, various use cases on a blockchain. And when those things are done, people who provide nodes actually are known as miners, who because they are supporting the validation function, they get rewarded with coins. And there are many, many miners all over the world. But the coins that get rewarded to them are the coins which are used when any application gets developed on a blockchain. If you want to avail the services of that application, you can only execute transaction using that currency. So if you were on a Ethereum blockchain, you will need Ether as a coin in order to do your transaction. So you use a blockchain, you use a use case on a blockchain, and you pay by using the currency which is accepted in that blockchain, which is Ethereum. So every currency that emerges out of either a blockchain, or it emerges because there is another platform sitting on top of blockchain, which could be level 1 or level 2 blockchain, or it could be a use case. Coins are of different type, and we will get into them. So people actually, there are stable coins that you would have heard of. These coins essentially are backed by fiat currency, so they are called stable coins. They would move up or down only dependent on what is the currency value. Then there are utility coins. Like if anyone creates an application on a blockchain, in order for you to use, so people go and trade on Binance. So if you trade on Binance, Binance says, if you use my coin, I will give you a discount. You can do lending and borrowing on my coin. So there is a coin issued by Binance, and because you use that coin, you get discounts and the coin value goes up. So every platform which comes on a blockchain eventually also comes out with a coin which you can use on that platform, and it's called a utility coin. Then there are security coins. Security coins they're all cryptocurrencies, but they have different names, and because they derive their price from a different element. Stablecoin derives its price from a fiat currency. Utility coin because of the utility on that platform. And if you have a security coin, it would derive its price from an underlying security or an asset. So that's a security coin. Now, depending on the nature of cryptocurrency that you are buying, you use it for operating on the blockchain, but there are marketplaces. You referred to, I think in the beginning of your presentation, you referred to DAO. On people could go to a decentralized financial platform, or there could be a DAO, or it could be a centralized exchange on which these heterogeneous currencies issued for different purposes. There are 17,000 coins issued in the world, though active coins would be about 1,000, which are traded actively in different platforms. And in order to get a view of this coin, or if you land up investing and you want to sell, you need a platform. And so you go to either a decentralized platform or you go to a centralized platform. So they serve as a medium of exchange, a unit of accounting, store of value, and it is safe because whenever you use your coin, it is stored in a wallet, and the wallet is accessed, or the blockchain is accessed using a private and a public key. So your private key is with you. And though we keep hearing of hacking, very stray cases, but hacking do happen. They normally happen at the interoperation of two blockchains or two applications. They don't happen either in the wallet or don't happen while you are trading, but it happens only in transmission, very, very stray cases, or if you land up sharing your private key. We will possibly in Q&A handle different types of market, and when people either get credited by coin because they have provided node and they are mining, or they'll end up investing in it. And because they're investing, they keep the coin in their wallet. When they think they've got appreciation, they would dispose and they would go to one of these platforms. Now, blockchain is interesting. This is the fundamental, basically the most basic fabric of this entire new industry, which is coming up. And I think Dr. Himanshu did refer to various developments that have happened here. Essentially, what happened was, people were used to dealing with centralized entities. So we all have grown up seeing an SBI, seeing an RBI, and you go to a bank. So bank acts as a trust institution. So people can blindly go and put their money there, and people who want to borrow money can blindly go and borrow from there. We know there are exigencies, we know there are NPAs, but in this environment, these centralized institutions. So when 2008 crisis took place, there was a global meltdown. Large institutions, hundreds of year-old institutions, similarly started disappearing. So that is the time when this debate actually became serious, that should you go to a centralized institution and trust an enterprise which itself cannot take care of itself? Is there a better method that you can actually decentralize? No one controls the system, yet the system is more stable than a centralized entity, and that is the fundamental base of a blockchain. So blockchain essentially are many, we all know internet is kind of spread all over. On the internet layer, there are these nodes which are available, these nodes which help people in processing their transactions, and these transactions which get double. So there are 2 or 3 unique things that happen when these transactions get done. So when Bitcoin came, initially when the coin came, there were few nodes on which these coins were getting mined. Some people who were mining were getting credited. These coins were being put to use. People say that the first pizza got bought with 10,000 Bitcoins. So, there are a lot of historical values given to coins because they were early stages. So you have a concept called, DLT, they call a double ledger, transaction. So basically you have a ledger system in which whatever record keeping, typically you would go to SBI, only SBI is your record keeper. In this blockchain, the entire network of blockchain maintains that record. And that record cannot be changed by any one entity when it gets written there. So once a transaction is done, that transaction code gets on a block. This block gets unified by a chain, and the entire chain replicates this data. So if someone were to tamper with this record, the blockchain would just remove this block from there, and the rest of the chain will still have the same data, and it will be consistent with each other. So people found this a very innovative, technology, where they said system maintains data, no single person can actually tamper with it. If that is the case, who all can use it? So the application that people are now foreseeing is every large database. You have licenses being issued, government records being kept, land records being kept. If they were kept on a blockchain, you can't remove those records. The records can be accessed anywhere, and the records are permanent in nature. When you execute a change in name record going from A to B, it will actually go from A to B only. Otherwise, typically in a transaction, you could have one flat being sold to 10 people. And we have seen cases of that nature. In a blockchain, those incidents will not happen because a transaction will be complete only when the record have become indelible and actually entered into the blockchain. So anything, now you can say mark sheet, database, bank records, government records, hospital records, many things can all go into the data. So industry is now finding out that if this is such a beautiful thing, how do we use this? So this is where the industry is. And there was a reference to Metaverse. There's a slide on Metaverse, but I think having created this, people are now finding out how do we use internet and this blockchain mechanism together, associated with various other kinds of tools to give people a very, very different environment for transacting businesses of all kinds. Cryptography gets used as a tool to ensure that whatever gets written on a blockchain can be read by the system from one to the other, but it's kind of hard coded. So if we did one transaction, it gets on a block, cryptographically written there, and rest of the blockchain entire links are now equipped to read this data, and they will say, yes, this transaction done between Joseph and Himanshu is complete, and it cannot be rewritten by someone, it cannot be undone by anyone until unless a fresh transaction of whatever platform that we were using gets done. So I think this innovation is very, very important, and especially suitable to this day and age. It could not have come earlier, because now we are in a society where access is easy, quality of internet is good, quality of processing is important. Our phones that we use are so high in capability. So like everything seems to be falling in place. And so people are getting very eager. So they are saying, one hand, we see institutions you can't trust. Another hand, technology which you can trust and you can actually migrate here. And whatever has happened this far in last 10 or 12 years has been very interesting.
A question here that
sure.
In this blockchain,
yes,
would you be able to see the other participants in the past, like a land deal, if you have an example?
Yes, you
so
can.
The history is there. The history is there.
History is there. It is accessible. Yes, you are right. You are right.
And do you need any government agency to validate this transaction, or you could do it between you and me like that?
Okay. So what happens if there was a private society being met and we decided to move on a blockchain? We could use a blockchain. Only thing is, especially because we're discussing land record, a land record in judiciary is only when the sub-registrar has recorded it. So there is a mechanism that has already been worked out where you create records on a blockchain, and the net outstanding of the blockchain gets given to the sub-registrar, and the sub-registrar says your record, the registry which maintains your record, will be treated as the final record, which the sub-registrar is going to record in his system periodically. So this experiment at pilot levels have already happened. And in fact, its application is going to increase now with many things that are happening in this market. So very valid question.
Will the regulators accept this? Very important. A lot of people will lose their job because this is the best way out in life. But
I think the government does not, because government has already found a way out of saying, I'm going to tax you. Tomorrow, if they were to levy a small transaction fee, in securities market, there is a transaction fee, and government is saying, fine, do what you want, but give me a small transaction fee. So a transaction fee at some stage could come. But records will be, because they will, once they appreciate technology, actually, Niti Aayog came out with a paper to say blockchain and how blockchain will be used by different industry. So government is already aware of application of blockchain to agricultural record, to banking, to insurance, all those sectors. It's just that I think we are in a transition phase from the vision that the government has already seen to its execution and how the laws will be made. Initially how the laws will handle it, and then if there were conflicting laws, then how would these test cases be handled in the judiciary. But we are moving all in the right direction, and this is the direction that the rest of the world is moving. Some may have moved a little farther away, we may be a little midway, but I think we are moving in the same direction, so that's a good sign.
So you said about mining crypto, mining Bitcoin or mining any of these currencies. Solenoid or Etherum or whatever. Is mining going on in India, or is it more in Kazakhstan and a lot of other places? It consumes a lot of electricity and the greenhouse effect. What is your take on that?
You are right. It is true. See, when the first Bitcoin came, it was slow in processing and it was consuming a lot of energy when Bitcoin came. Then came Ethereum. It became much more rapid compared to Bitcoin. Then came Ethereum 2, which was even faster than the original Ethereum. Now we have, in India, we have Polygon, Matic coin, which is supposed to be very fast. Solana is supposed to be very fast. So all that migration and development that is happening is ensuring lesser power, greater speed. Mining is happening in India, and there are different places where this mining is taking place, but not as extensively as it was happening in China and in some of the countries where power is easily available and the laws are such that people can do it fearlessly. But India, it is happening in India.
Okay, so it is happening. So
yeah,
from my laptop, can I mine? A common, simple question from anybody.
You have a point. Actually, on any node you can typically, but it requires more processing capacity. So people do nodes which are of higher order. So you will need a server class machine to actually mine a coin.
Is because Bitcoin, I realize there is an upper limit. There is going to be a shortage of supply. That is why Bitcoin would be having its own definition, because supply is already restricted. You will not be able to mine more than X amount of Bitcoins, is what I heard. Is that
you
true?
are right. 21 million.
21 million is the upper limit. And so there'll be as much there is. You said that commodities and the other things, you have linkage to some asset, where the Bitcoin has no links to any asset value. It's not on pair with against a dollar, against gold, nothing.
Yeah, so you have a point. Actually, there is a very low correlation between Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency and an alternate asset class like gold or petroleum, copper, which is the typical or securities market. There is, but when the correlation is low, people say that is a good diversification tool. That if every market is going to go down, this is a diversified investment instrument. You could actually take a converse view here. So it helps you in managing portfolio better because the risks are divergent. It doesn't go in the same way. That's one good side of this market. Second thing that you referred to being capped. So when you issue any cryptocurrency, you typically come out with a white paper, and the white paper says this is the lifeline of the currency and this is how it will be always. So you put an upper cap, you show the distribution, how much will be owned by the people who issued it, the platform, how much would be owned by public, how would it be used. And not only when you do that, once your platform becomes popular and the platform starts making profit, that profit is used to buy out, or what they call burn the coins, so that the supply is kept restricted only to the extent it is used, depending on the nature of the coin. So even in case of Bitcoin, there is a cap, but in case of Bitcoin, it goes through a processing of halving every 4.5 years. And second thing that is happening with Bitcoin is the use cases that have emerged. Now treasuries have started investing in Bitcoin, so it has become the industry yardstick for value, and the value is in terms of pace at which it is getting generated and the use cases that people are making it use. So it has now become almost a financial instrument, because all the large institutions, they are moving gradually in investing in Bitcoin and as a treasury operation. This was not happening earlier. Financial, you referred to CME. CME came out with futures on Bitcoin. Now, these things were not heard earlier, that conventional marketplace would do a futures. The moment you run a futures, then immediately there is an ETF product, and large institutions will invest in ETF, will do their risk management of futures. So I think we are seeing some innovations which will only create the demand of these currencies.
So any of these, the federal government is investing into a Bitcoin or something?
I haven't heard of governments investing, except El Salvador and some of these countries where they are treating it as a part of their basket of trading and legal tender. Once you create it as a legal tender, then the central banks start investing in it and keep product, because they have to either supply or they have to buy out. This range may take time, but I think there are use cases of industry are so large that you really do not want the government to invest in it just for as a treasury operation. If there is a utility, yes, government could come out. China came out with a central banking currency. Then China announced that they are going to come out with a blockchain, national blockchain, so that those entities which are globally trading there will be able to trade in these, all the mining projects or all the use cases will be developed on a government platform. So if you have a government entity, a government bank, they want to use a blockchain, you go to a government blockchain, you use CBDC as a reference currency, or you use CBDC for that transaction. But that transaction, whenever there is a central banking currency, one thing that will be missed out will be the investment demand of that currency. The beauty of cryptocurrency vis-a-vis a CBDC is in the supply chain. There is a very large investment demand which gets created the moment there is a cryptocurrency coming in. And it is that demand of investment which creates both volatility as well as utility of the coin that people are willing to invest besides the use case that the currency is serving.
So it's all in the cloud, am I right? This is all that.
Yes, it's all in the cloud. It's all in the cloud.
My servers are gone somewhere. I may have a backup to a backup to a backup.
Yeah.
But which means I'm dependent on the server. Somewhere you have a nuclear threat, you have something by which the servers are destroyed.
Yeah, so you have a point. So I think in the cloud, most of the mining gets done in their individual data center. Then they are connected over internet. And, so those servers which are mining may not be on the cloud, because generally popular clouds are managed by AWS or Google or, such data centers. So mining still starts happening in people who create private data centers and they mine. But information sharing, and as Metaverse is emerging, this is all part of now an internet which is taking shape in the form of Web 3.0, and which we are now calling it as Metaverse.
So is Web 3.0 the same as Metaverse? What is Metaverse? Now that you are on it, let's hear.
So, the progress when people created internet, which was the first phase, or internet 2.0, now we are talking of 3.0. Earlier, it was only being used as a means of communication and between different nodes and different computers that were connecting on them. Not much processing was happening. When Web 2.0 came, then people started using a lot of computing power between the devices that you were using and in the cloud computing. Metaverse 3 is now topping it up with augmented reality, virtual reality, your experience. So it says, I could read on my system versus my experiencing what I'm doing on the system. So Metaverse is a mix of Web 3.0, which enables you, which gives you that environment. And Metaverse now creates, economic activities on this internet, which is Web 3.0, to give you an experience of virtual reality, augmented reality, which is business savvy. Now, there are so many businesses which are emerging, which are going to use digital now, whether it is entertainment, whether it is education, whether it is gaming, whether it is financial sector. We recently heard of a country creating an embassy on Metaverse. People have started selling land parcels on Metaverse. So effectively, there's a very big economic utility, and there is also marketability attached to it. And then there is a economics which is working out, that you create an NFT on it, or you create a marketplace on it, then you create a utility coin, and utility coin has a value. So I think the opportunities that are emerging, so there is a real business case. That's the most fundamental. That real business fundamental case gets superimposed with the need for investment, the use cases that are coming in, experience that people want, and how the economies are going from so-called our physical environment to a digital environment. So there's a whole new digital economy which is emerging, and Metaverse represents that digital economy. We all have heard of e-commerce. Now, our life, e-commerce has become part and parcel of us, but you still order and you wait for goods to come. Imagine if the whole thing was happening in an environment where you could see where it is coming from, what you've selected. You can actually touch and feel and see, oh, this is what I'm buying. So imagine today, too, for us selling a physical good, we dot the whole world with their stores. You can limit the stores and you can virtually experience those things, order, and they get communicated to you. So you can imagine the cost of digital centralization is immense, because places that you can't reach in next 10 years on digital economy, you can reach today.
So which are the economies which will really suffer, and which are the ones which will thrive as soon as virtual reality becomes?
Obviously, first, fintech always makes first move. Entertainment is the next. Entertainment, a whole lot of things are happening, but financial sector does not want to be left out. So financial sector is doing a whole lot of innovation on Metaverse. Real economy, all the IT sector, entertainment sector, education, including healthcare. We all heard about, remote surgeries that are being performed over robotics. Now you can actually experience this here. Its application will be turned out. So I think the learning experience and getting help in a proximate manner where you could see real life thing digitally. Both you can provide services of that nature, others can avail services of that nature. So these innovations, I think sky is the limit for what people are today assuming this economy would be. The expectation is physical economy will be overshadowed with digital economy. NFT is another,
very interesting topic, with everybody talking about NFT and the amount of money which is making. Mr. Bachchan getting it and Salman Khan getting in, and why shouldn't somebody else be doing some non-specific painting and selling it on NFT somewhere else?
Very true, very true. Two things about it. A, historically, the records that are there in a museum or someone personal collection actually you can create NFT out of them and you get value, because then at least the system is recognizing it. So corporate entities could get into creating their history as an NFT. And we are seeing it happening in art. We are seeing that happening in entertainment industry. That is one. But tokenization is a completely new economy. So real estate, today you buy a house. If someone were to actually tokenize and create an NFT on that, basically they are called real estate tokens. So you can invest a small parcel of a land or a small parcel of real estate, which could be represented by a token. So NFT is a new category of instrument in which there could be just holding value, or there could be a secondary value of you could be trading in it. And someone, like if you do it on real estate, someone goes into development of a property, but the tokens which are being held by the investor, and you get money from the investors initially, but not through selling it to a bank or getting investment from a bank or few investors. You actually broad base it, go to the market, raise money, you can develop a property, value doubles or whatever happens to the value, and NFTs can actually get priced in the market and people could just do secondary sale in it. So use cases out of NFT are very many, though you refer to some, the esoteric value ones are those paintings and artwork, but there are business use cases of NFT, and I think we are now migrating to seeing more business cases in NFT. But they all rely on blockchain, they all require a cryptocurrency, and then you have an instrument called NFT.
What is this land parcel? What do you mean by token? A land parcel which would it be like a property deal somewhere?
Yeah, so typically assuming a building was being constructed, so you wanted to put that record on blockchain, and you wanted, so conventional method of building, developing a building is you go to select investors, do a pre-sale, and then once the building is constructed, then you go to actual retailers who want to buy a house or a commercial enterprise, and then these investors exit, but the whatever increase that has happened has been credited, is accounted by the investors. So the builder gets his initial money, and whatever residual he's held for the last moment sale, he gets upside on that. If you tokenize it, then this cycle, you are not dependent on few investors, and every developer can say, I'm now tokenizing it. Anyone who wants to invest, I go to a platform, that platform provides everything which can actually be traded, and these tokens can then be had by individuals. So imagine someone would stay in city A, but he thinks the city B property prices are going to go up. You can actually invest there, you get the upside, and you exit when you want. So you get your increase, someone else has gone and developed the property, and the property is given. The same thing can happen on a developed property. Today it happens in the form of a REIT, where an institution come and invest, and then they get lease rental. But these lease rentals actually can go in the form of token to end users, to investors.
Interesting. So, but the brick and mortar model remains. The token.
Yes, obviously, brick and mortar model will remain. That's what actually, digital economy is a layer on top of physical economy. We will still need cars, we will still need house, and we will still need people to treat us. So, you continue to have we call the real industry. It's just that the real industry is getting magnified through digital economy. So you could service few, now you could service more. You could become accessible to more, and many more things could be done through this. Like you find so much of time investing in educating people. This could become actually an enterprise. This is possible because technology enables it to do. So technology is a big enabler of things that we did not think of. And I think the way real economy is growing, I think we will need this digital economy when new generation needs new experience and new employment opportunities. And I think this is what will get delivered by this industry.
If this is non-fungible, so is there something
Yes.
called fungible also? Is there a fungible token?
Yes, you can do a fungible token too. So non-fungible, you create a record. So typically a fungible asset is you create a record and its ownership is with one, and this person can actually sell the right. So even NFT, technically it's non-fungible because there are no two NFTs arising out of the same artwork or whatever asset you created, but there is a secondary market. So it is sellable. So secondary market actually creates fungibility in a way where you can sell your asset to someone else because now there is a marketplace dealing in that NFT. The reason they are, people find NFT useful because that trust factor, that if you sell a painting to me, is that MF Hussein's paintings right are with me, or there are others also. So they say no, now it is hard coded on the blockchain. There is only one entity and you own it, and it is nowhere else on any other blockchain. And it is possible for you to go to blockchain and test whether that record is there in your blockchain or elsewhere. These were some of the use cases that I think the world is moving. So you refer to government. Government is considering to use globally. This debate is going on how to use decentralized for record keeping and for disseminating services. Education is a big user, and education I think will come in a big way, both for record keeping and imparting education. Financial sector always takes innovation first. So we are seeing most development happen on fintech. Legal services, charities, healthcare, I think both on record side as well as on many other services that will actually get delivered through in healthcare, and many other use cases that will come. Yeah, I'm through with my presentation, and we could handle question
Yes.
Q&A if there are any. Yeah.
Very, very, very interesting presentation. It'll take a lot of time for me to digest what you said. You have to go through it and go through it for us to understand what's going on. Now come to the famous thing which is happening across the world. Everybody is very inquisitive whether to invest in any of the cryptocurrencies like a Bitcoin or something, or is it speculation? If there is going to be a limited supply in the long run, I might as well buy at any phase in SIP because ultimately it's going to go up. Is that true? Is that a good statement?
I think it is. It is people. This is an innovation. People had to buy a full Bitcoin. Now it is possible you can go to a marketplace and you can either do a SIP or you can do an ETF or you can buy a small unit. So it gets sold at 0 point multiple zeros, and then so you could buy as small a unit as that. In terms of, I think there are Indian exchanges who are selling Bitcoin worth 100 rupees. So I am still getting the upside of Bitcoin and I'm only investing 100 rupees. I learned to deal with this asset. Then there are many more assets which are available in lower denomination and people go there. So I think you can enter with a small size coin, or you can buy a small denomination of a very stable coin which has long history, where you can see transparently what people have done. So I don't think people call it speculative because it's a very volatile asset. And because it is volatile, there are some very interesting characteristics of this market. It's a 24-hour traded market. All the conventional markets get over in few hours. This is a 24-hour market. And people use this market. The generation which is using this market is the millennials. They came because the degree of freedom available with them, they were technology savvy, they entered this market. And so the markets are volatile. You could see volatility as much as 10%, 12% on an average, but generally it'll be 3 or 4%. But so people say I can access the market anytime. I can do trading, gives me trading opportunity. And if I take a longer view, there's a huge investment demand.
So how many people do actually are participating? I heard that between the age of 22 to 34, we have more than 10 million people in this country. What is the statistic that you see right now?
There are two statistics on the market. That there are 20 million people who are trading on existing exchanges. So that is one number. Number of wallets. There is an international institution which gives the number of wallets held by individuals. And it is said that there are 100 million wallets in India.
100 million wallets in India.
So a person could have multiple wallets also, because when you trade in multiple exchanges, you could create multiple wallets. But still, I think the number of 20 million or extreme of 100 million is a big number. India ranks amongst top 3 based on wallet. It is the largest country based on even a lower number of 20 million, but turnover and things like that. India ranks amongst the top 3 or top 5 countries in the world.
What is the prerequisite for a client to trade on crypto?
Yeah, okay. Unlike securities market or other regulated market where you access the market using a broker, crypto market, you need a broker. You can access it yourself. All that you need is, because you're dealing with money, a KYC record keeping is done. It is done by the exchange. So exchanges are typically called peer to peer. So, individuals on both sides and the exchange in middle. And if you are centralized, then the exchange does the record keeping. If it's decentralized exchange, then it's all the record keeping is happening on blockchain, and an individual sells, another individual buys. And the question is that because individuals are coming and trading on blockchain, sorry, I missed the question. You said it was supposed to be what investors should be trading.
What should be, yeah, what should be taking? Like say you're late in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
What is the next thing?
There are coins that every month there are 20, 30 new coins that are coming in. So, our app also shows, Cryptowire app shows the new coins that are coming in the market. There are other apps which show you marketplace, this information is available. So there are new coins coming in, but I think one should read a white paper, and you should see who are the people who are setting it up. You should see what is the business use case, because we know there are 17,000 coins, 1,000 coins would get traded. So there are 16,000 coins which may not be traded as much. Those projects must have not done as well. So these numbers are pretty odd, but they were in the early stages of the market. So I think once you've taken a good look at the market, today, most of the coins that are coming in are coming with very credible institution and for a very credible cost. So I think they are good investment opportunities.
Because I remember Dogecoin, from a meme was made from a dog, and from there came the Dogecoin. So, for a beginner to realize what's going on, so he has to read a white paper, he has to see what's going on. And if it's institutional supported, that would make more sense.
It would make, so the biggest differentiator on Dogecoin was because Elon Musk came and he said, people can buy Tesla with it. So what happens is, see, in the life cycle of a coin or a blockchain, you may not have done big developments initially, but the fact is you have a blockchain and you have now raised resources, you can develop. So Dogecoin actually, that way was late in saying, now we are going to use up a blockchain, and now we are going to come out with a lot of use case. One of the big use case was Elon Musk coming and blessing it. So I think at any cycle of the coin, if investment demand comes and people come in and start endorsing it, and you are on a good blockchain which has lower cost of operation, what we call gas fee, and low latency, then I think it becomes a popular coin.
With the digital RBI announcing the digital rupee in this country, do you expect that digital currency we will stop seeing rupees notes and a 500 or a 2,000 rupee note, and you would be totally, or would cryptocurrency an investment tool, or is it going to be another currency for transaction which is be used by masses rather than only a select few? Like a certain
I think,
like Brazil and all.
That central banking currency, digital currency of any country will not see investment side of it. So it will come in because if government, like what China did, they came out with a large amount of central banking currency. They gave it free to their citizen, and they said, these are the public sector entities, you can avail these services, because they wanted to find how are these coins behaving. That was an experiment. Now they came out with a blockchain, and they said they will roll out those services on the blockchain, so that they will now come out with how people can use. So typically central banking currency will act as a stable coin. Stable coin has its utility that you can have a USDT, which represents dollar. So it's Tether, but it's actually representing a proxy for dollar, because you need a cryptocurrency to trade on a blockchain. You can't take dollars and trade. So you convert fiat into a cryptocurrency. So to that extent, the rupee can act as a stable coin to be used on a blockchain as a stable coin, but investment demand will always be on those coins which are issued by private enterprise and with a business use case.
Just as you have Walmart getting up with it, Tesla is saying it's going to start accepting. Do you anticipate bigger companies in the world, the likes of the Teslas, a Tata Motors or a Tata Sun or Reliance by itself says that this is my digital currency, and you'll have multiple currencies trading in the country? Is that kind of a scenario that you might foresee?
I foresee it happening. When Meta came, they are working on their coin called DM, and I think it's going to be announced. They in fact had a coin which didn't work, so they are now recasting it. So I foresee that large enterprises which have large global operations would say, because the advantage is that that very product actually get discounted when it's their currency is involved. And the beauty is when you come out with a currency, it's also acting as an investment instrument. So investors come in, because assuming if Microsoft or Tata's or large enterprises were to come out with a coin, people will say they have so many business cases because you can use those coins for their business case, and you can buy those products. Those products will get a discount because you're using those currencies. Because the currency gets used, there's an investment demand coming in, and so that's a source of additional fundraise.
How would you vis-a-vis parity between a Tata currency and a Reliance currency or a Sahara currency? You know, how would you put vis-a-vis any kind of
Markets
there is
know
a
it all. So
ballpoint
markets
standard.
discover.
You know, today everything is pegged against the dollar. What are you going to peg it again?
Yeah. So what happens is market, there are beautiful construct of a market. So you have centralized marketplace where you list a coin and the market discovers the price. There is a decentralized platform. So if Tata were to come out with coin, people will go and buy and sell. That is a market discovered price. There is another platform called Uniswap platform where you can swap a currency. And this platform also discovers the price of a coin. So you, assuming Tata were to come out with a coin and they will say, my coin, they will assume my coin initially is equivalent to 10 Ethereum. Now this model gets
against
fixed.
Ethereum. So
Ethereum.
That's what I was trying to figure out. What will they peg it against?
You can pick up any cryptocurrency. It has to be cryptocurrency. You pick up a cryptocurrency and you say my coin against Ethereum. This is the formula I will always maintain. And then the market starts discovering your price.
That means very important point which you mentioned. Even if any corporates come up, they will have to peg up against some of the popular sites which are there right now, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solenoid.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Which means that will become the gold standard tomorrow for them to be pegged against.
And even if they were to peg, market is still discovering prices. So just by pegging, when I initially peg, it's not necessary that the peg will always be true. The market is going to discover price. So you have a centralized marketplace, you have a derivatives running on it. Eventually it will be the market which will determine what is the utility of that coin, which will be a function of how much is that utility coin being used, how much profit it is generating. So people will say because there is liquidity, I should keep investing in it.
Fantastic. I mean, this is a lot of revelation that is coming up, that these are the ultimate baseline things which will happen. And the currency might just change in the next few years, and you will stop talking about the rupee and the dollar and the euro in life.
Today we handle so much of less money, cash, because everything is digital. So you transact through your card or your pay phones and things like that. Gradually you will have an additional currency available with you because there'll be a new economy which will say if you have to execute a transaction there, it doesn't take your digital money. It doesn't take your digital rupee. It takes a cryptocurrency. And so because of that demand, people will start maintaining wallets. People will start maintaining some currency in crypto form. Though conversion gateways will be there. You can go to your bank and bank will say, okay, fine, I will give you USDT. And then you take USDT and buy Bitcoin or whichever currency and do your transaction on that platform. So that chain is very well laid down. Anyone can come into this market by going to a gateway. Generally, marketplace provide those gateway that you can go to any bank and get your fiat currency converted into any dollar denominated currency like USDT or BSD.
Which means in countries where there is hyperinflation and there is a lot of inflation, 30-40%, lira got depreciated 30%. I might as well hold my money in any of the cryptocurrencies.
You're so right. You are so right. You are so right. Because this economy is not local country economy. This is a global economy.
Yeah.
So you can, very true, very true, very true.
So
in fact, I don't know whether you read
tomorrow. If my rupee is getting depreciated tomorrow, I might as well hold money in any that. I mean, example, I'm not saying rupee, but lira got depreciated 30% recently. And
when the Afghanistan war took place recently, when people were exiting, they said people banking time was reduced, banks were closed, people were doing their transaction, they had cash and they were doing the transaction in Bitcoin. So even in crisis, and you very rightly said that if my local country has challenges, if I was on digital currency, then these influences do not impact my digital currency.
What I was wondering, sir, that a socialistic country like Russia and a communist like China, they will never allow decentralized power. What we talked about in the beginning.
Yes.
They want, even if you go to the bathroom, they want to know where you went. They are going to rate citizens. They rate according to how good you have been, a good boy or not a bad boy. So they will not let you have decentralized. Now, if two major economies have failed, China, Russia said that we are not going to accept it, and India still doesn't know where the stand is. Still, look, going forward, if the other countries adapt that, a cryptocurrency still would be in vogue. It's not going to be an extinct dinosaur kind of a story. It's the rising phantom which is coming up.
Yes, I think the truth is, and countries are realizing, developed countries are realizing it more. Some of the countries are, still part of the debate. The reality is it's never going to replace your local currency. So your real economy continues. You can't keep this away because these are kind of borderless, porous environment, and you anyway have so much of trade. So people, for them to convert their currency into a digital economy will not take much time. So whether you permit or you don't, this will still happen. So the question is, you accept it so that it becomes transparent and you don't lose the currency, which even otherwise you're going to lose, but you will lose it to another economy. By legalizing it, you can tax it, you can use it, you can many more people can have the benefit of that currency. So my reading is that there is a little bit of caution, skepticism, which is working now. But as the debate now, this debate is happening across G20 nations. It's World Bank, IMF, they're all part of the debate, and I think it will be a structured change, but people will start adopting it.
A lot of rumors were there in the past that it is a lot of drug money and underworld money and extortion money, which was transacted in any of these cryptocurrencies. I know of a person there in the US, back here in India, whose computers got hacked. And the only way they could do that, even the cyber police couldn't help them. Once your system is hacked, and they had to pay money in Bitcoin. So is it true that a lot of these money is with the drug mafias and the
okay, I think very important point. So if you look at the use case of a coin, typically transaction, e-commerce related transaction or trade related transaction will be about 30%. 30% is investment demand. And they say transmission of money itself is about 25 to 30%. It's a sizable amount. Now, because KYC requirement is mandatory wherever you are, it is not as if anyone could send anything anywhere, because KYC is required. So both the person who is recipient and the person who's sending the money, both are identified because they have a banking record, and that record is available. It's available to all the agencies who typically oversee physical markets, can oversee this also. This was the early stage development, and that is why the KYC was mandated. In initial years, KYC was not mandatory, and so people used it for that purpose.
So KYC is an international phenomenon?
Yeah, it's international now. Everywhere it is mandatory.
And I just read yesterday news, Dhani Industries had false KYCs of people coming up. So that's another part of the story.
Okay. We will keep seeing some people trying to escape the system, but may not be stray cases.
Yeah. Fantastic, sir. I mean, a lot of revelation with a promise that we will call you back again. A lot of understanding, a lot to be learned, because it's going to be a total transformation in our lives as to what is coming. The whole issue of Metaverse, Internet 3.0, gaming, virtual reality, because I thought virtual reality was only kids playing games. Then came the robotic surgery. I'm a surgeon, so it's like seeing surgery on a robotic scale. But I can still tell you, as of today, it cannot replace surgeons. That's for sure. For my surgeon colleagues of mine. That's for sure. Whatever it does, it cannot have the fine intricacies that it is required on a minuscule stage. But the way it is growing, and I heard that the gaming industry will be so powerful that people will start selling stuff on the gaming. So the gaming industry is going to increase. That is another say.
Yes. Now there are two types of. There's a gaming when you play and you use the currency, and there's an economy built around that. What you do in normal life, that data also has value. There are people who are willing to pay you for that. So as you do your normal gaming, there are companies who are willing to give you incentive for that. They are willing to give you coin. It's like mining. So while I'm playing, I'm actually mining and I'm getting coins and credit, and that data is getting used for some other purposes.
But I'll have to call you back again, sir. How from my computer I can mine the new coins, which out of 17,000, it'll go to 100,000. But how to do the mining is what we have to figure out.
It will. And I think, thank you very much that you took, you actually focused on this subject, which is an emerging subject, and the emerging economy for next 50 years. And I think good that, you took that lead in coming here, because I think very divergent group and very informed group. And I'm glad that you knew so much that you shared initially. I'm really glad, and very good to participate here.
No. Thanks so much for your valuable time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And smilingly
continue to visit. I don't know whether all your audience have looked at our app, which is called Cryptowire app. And then we have a university, Crypto University. You can do short-term, long-term courses, and then Crypto TV at leisure. You can learn. It's infotainment. You can learn, but on a subject matter.
Yeah. So friends, there's a passing note that I would say that very, very important. The cryptowire.in, you could do that on your Android or the iOS. I have it. It's a brilliant piece of information. It was never there. Imagine you have the NASDAQ, you have the Dow Jones, you have the BSE, NSE index, but there was never a crypto index so far. They have been responsible, the Cryptowire.in have been responsible for generating the index, which will show you the fluctuations. How could you arbitrage between exchanges so that you get the best possible rate in whichever exchange at any given point of time live? And real-time news, real-time understanding, real university. So you have the three parts which you mentioned about the wire, the news, which could be there, and the university. And he's not an exchange. They are not an exchange, but they facilitate your understanding about the subject. And this is, I'll just repeat, crypto, CRYPTO, Cryptowire, WIRE.in. Am I right, sir? That's.
Thank you. Yes, it is. Yeah. It is. And I'm glad that you referred to index, because people who don't want to dabble with their wallets and do this thing, they can actually, this index will shortly be traded on some of these exchanges. And this index has a value. So people who don't want to deal with the underlying can actually trade in index. You still get the upside of the market, but don't have to keep wallets, don't have to get into actually underlying currency.
Oh, so you could trade almost actually every crypto, because you will trade the index. It's like
15,
the
top 15 cryptos are covered in the index. It's called IC15 and top 15 crypto. It will shortly, I think we are trying to make provision that it would be on some of these exchanges. It could actually get traded.
So if you want to be a part of the whole crypto scenario, you could be trading on that particular index.
Oh, yes.
Which is there.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Interesting. Very interesting. Never struck to me. And thanks so much for your time. But I would miss out the whole subject if I would not friend my dear friend, Mr. Jignesh Shah, chairman of Cryptowire and 63 Moon, a brilliant entrepreneur, technocrat, a great human, a great friend, and of course, a great innovator who has done so much. He is generally, whenever you talk to him, he is vibrant with ideas and phenomenal value of history, understanding of the subject. People have ideas. People have wild ideas too, but very few are managing to execute it. And here is a man, Jignesh Shah, who has put up multiple institutions, and he is a great person to build institutions. And he works with people, a great leader. And the asset finally, which comes out, the brain, you cannot imagine how brilliantly so many indexes and so many exchanges which were created in this country and across the world. So thanks to him very much for being the great support to help us get this and get Mr. Massey on the show. Thanks very much, Navneet. Thank you, Pooja, for being a part of the show and giving us the all-time support that we need. And once again, Mr. Joseph, thanks very much for being here.
Thank you very much for acknowledging. Mr. Jignesh is our mentor. He works on his lab, and his ideas get translated into reality.
Yeah, the innovator lab, which he runs, absolutely.
He does innovation,
not secondary innovation, but absolute innovation in this country. Yeah. Yes, thanks
so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Himanshu. Thank you all for joining in. Yeah.
Good night, sir.
Thanks for inviting me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.